What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this NBA 9-game 115 slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. Last night we had a dual live stream. I was on live stream with DK DFS doing some NBA content. If you guys love that content, if you like to dual live streams, let us know in the comment section below. He will be returning the favor sometime next week, and he'll be joining me and TJ for yet another live stream. So these collabs, guys, we need more of them in this industry. So let us know if you guys do like that content. Before we jump into the slate, this video is sponsored by PrizePicks and their code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100. PrizePicks is an app where you simply hit the over or under on any certain fantasy point projection or player prop. It's that easy. I'll be giving you my favorite player prop pick a little bit later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But we have another 9-game slate. We've been seeing a lot of bigger slates, mid-range slates. This one looks very interesting. There is a ton of good value plays as of right now, so let's go ahead and jump right into the slate. I'm going to be going game by game, team by team, breaking down every single play that I see from a GPP and cash perspective. I'll also be updating everything on my website, dgfantasy.com, where I update my favorite cash plays. Plays. TJ also updates his favorite GPP plays, cash plays, and we have updated ownership projections, our physical projections that we figure out on the back end. So you get access to all that premium content for every single sport, not just NBA, for NFL, for golf, League of Legends, MMA content. There is an MMA slate going on today, so I'll be covering all that and so much more on our website, dgfantasy.com, if you guys are interested in signing up. But let's go ahead and dive right into the slate, guys. We had a lot of success last night. If you stacked the late night hammer there with Christian Wood, came back with De'Aaron Fox, you did very, very well. We don't have any late night hammers here for this slate because those games are actually very unappealing. All the good plays are coming here at the very beginning of the slate here, starting out with the Portland Trail Blazers. I am recording this video at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we do have ownership projections for you guys as well. Let's actually take a look here at the Portland Trail Blazers. Right now, Nurkic is actually showing a decent amount of ownership, 26.4% owned. He comes out to a 44.5 projection right now. I'm actually not a fan. I know the matchup is fantastic for Nurkic, but he's just been all over the place in terms of minutes. He's been getting in foul trouble. You know, you never know what to expect with Nurkic. As long as he stays on the floor, yes, he looks like a very good play. He only played 25 minutes last game. We do predict him to stay out a little bit longer. But again, like I said, you never know with Nurkic. Right now, his prize pick projection is sitting at a 41.5. So if I search Nurkic, I'm going to be hitting the under on Nurkic. 41.5 is just very aggressive. And although a lot of people are on him because of this matchup, I'm actually not because of that projection. It's just one of those things that's just a little bit too high for me. I'm hitting the under on Nurkic. And again, you can enter code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100 if you guys head over. That is my favorite play here. One of my favorite fantasy point unders here for this NBA slate. Next in the list, we're getting into some plays I really do like. You have to consider that the Portland Trail Blazers are without Damian Lillard, McCollum, Nance, Powell, Zeller. You hear a lot of good ball handlers, a lot of good primary scorers there missing from the Portland Trail Blazers lineup. Therefore, Anthony Simons at $7,200, you would think, if you just look at the name, compare him with the price tag, that is way too expensive. But he is the primary ball handler, the scorer here, shooting 24, 17, 15, 17 times the past 4 games. So Anthony Simons there at $7,200, I actually don't mind, and I consider him cash viable. He is projected to score 43.5 points according to our projections, which is more than a 5 times value. So we really do like him. Ben McLemore also stepped up, is playing a decent amount of minutes. He did shoot pretty well last game, 6 for 14 from a McLemore perspective. He also played a decent amount of minutes. We have him projected for 30 minutes, so I do consider him cash viable. A 5.75 point per dollar value as yet another decent value play. But another guy I want to talk about here, Nasir Little, the second option in terms of scoring here for this roster. If he is projected to start, he's projected to play 34 minutes, a 10% owned. Nasir Little could be a slate breaker there. I actually don't mind him. Yet another good ball handler, another good scorer here for this Portland Trail Blazers while they wait for McCollum and Lillard to come back. So I do like him. I like Simons and I like Nasir Little. Covington, I also do have some interest in there at 6K, but he's just, you know, he's not a good fantasy point per minute player. He doesn't have the high usage like Nasir Little, Simons, and McLemore do have there. And he isn't known for his scoring ability. So Robert Covington at a 6K price tag, I do have a little bit of interest in. He's also showing no ownership whatsoever. So if you're looking for a last mid-range play, definitely don't mind him at a 6K price tag. Switching over to the Washington Wizards, they are still without Bradley Beal. And now Bertans has been rolled out. That was actually just released right before I recorded this video. So I do have some interest here. I have a lot of interest in Spencer Dinwiddie here at 35.3%. He's going to be chalk until he does hit that 8K price tag. It really doesn't make sense with him being the primary scorer here for this roster without Bradley Beal in the lineup. He scored 30 points, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. We need, 40 points for him to really make sense here as he does go up in price tag. I think I'm going right back to the well here. He does make a lot of sense, a 5.51 point per dollar value, and he's one of the more obvious plays here on the slate. Kyle Kuzma, let's just get this out of the way right now. If you are in Prize Picks, you need to take advantage of this over. Kyle Kuzma is sitting at a 34.5 projection. And if we head back to the value board here, I just want to show you guys, Kyle Kuzma has hit the over in each one of the contests that he's played in without Bradley Beal easily. So 34.5 projection, he's hit that past 5 games, even with Bradley Beal. Don't really get the projection here on Prize Picks. 34.5 is very, very low. And they're also projected to score a decent amount of points here. 112 team total for the Washington Wizards. So a lot of points should be scored. Kyle Kuzma hit the over there on 34.5. And I also do like him from an ownership perspective. Should be a decent GPP option, showing a 6.2% owned Kyle Kuzma there. So I do like him here at a little bit lower owned. Some other guys to consider are going to be Kispert. Kispert should get a slight bump in minutes here without Bertans on the court. Bertans was projected 10 minutes, but now that he is out, Kispert should play about 32 minutes. I don't mind him as a last piece, but he should also be a little bit lower owned. Just not a high usage guy there, especially with Dinwiddie and Kuzma still in the starting lineup, and also Caldwell Pope. GPP play for me as well. Switching over to the New York Knicks, they have just got Cam Reddish, and ironically, they are playing against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. So he's still not expected to play. I do have a little bit of interest in a couple players here. Alec Burks, the minute upside is going to be there. He's showing 25.2%. He's just a safe play given those minutes at a 5.8K price tag. He's projected 34 minutes right now. I could easily see him playing 34 plus minutes. He's just an okay play. Right now, he's fitting a lot of builds, so that makes for a good flexible play because he is also small forward eligible. He's point guard and small forward, so he can fit into that small forward lineup construction build, point guard, guard, and forward. So everything makes sense here for Alec Burks. Minute upside is going to be there. He's just he's a solid play on the slate. Looking down here, I do have a little bit of interest in RJ Barrett at 6.8K, showing 14.3% owned. His minute upside has been crazy. He's been playing a lot of minutes ever since their lineup has been thinner without Kemba Walker and also Derrick Rose. So he's had to step up and play some more minutes. So at 6.8K price tag, I actually don't mind him at 14.3%. More of a GPP option in my opinion. The rest of these guys really fall by the wayside. Julius Randle's kind of all over the place in terms of production. He did play decent last game, but for an 8.6K price tag, you're looking for like a 50-point ceiling, and he hasn't done that here in a little bit. So really no interest outside of Alec Burks and also RJ Barrett. Switching over to the Atlanta Hawks. This guy's going to be an automatic lock for me here in terms of a value play, even if Kevin Huerter does play again. DeAndre Hunter got the surprising start yesterday, and he played 29 minutes. He also went down in price tag, which makes no sense to me. He's a bottom of the barrel price tag, a 3K price tag. He's the most overall obvious play on the slate, an 8.4 point per dollar value. So I really like DeAndre Hunter here in the spot, and he honestly is the only guy I have extreme interest in. Right now we have him projected for 25.2 points, which is more than 5 times value by far. He is the most obvious play on the slate, DeAndre Hunter. Go ahead and lock him in. Switching over to the Pelicans, I have a little bit of interest in a couple of these guys. Technically, Alexander Walker showing some ownership. I really don't get that. The minute upside isn't there with him, especially with all these guys healthy. The full team is here except for Zion Williamson, but that doesn't affect him anyway. 22 projected minutes right now, 5.38 point per dollar value. I don't get the ownership there. I think he's more of just a punt play. I would play him maybe if you're looking for a last value piece in cash, but I really don't have that much interest in him. Devontae Graham, I actually do have a little bit more interest in here. 5.5K price tag. He's just safe in terms of the minute upside. He's always playing consistently between 30 and 33, 35-ish minutes. So you got to love to see that at a 5.5K price tag. Right now we have him projected for 31.5 points. Again, hitting that 5 times value threshold. More of a GPP play, though. Just an 8.9% owned Devontae Graham. And switching over to the Brooklyn Nets, they are still without LaMarcus Aldridge, Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving. So you got to think somebody's got to step up for these guys. And this highest over-under here on the slate, that's going to be James Harden or Kevin Durant. I feel like you have to have one of them if you're going to break the slate wide open. However, the price tags are a little bit too pricey for my likings. If they don't go out and score extreme amount of points, I feel like they're not going to break the slate because of their price tags. But I do think they're relatively safe. Like I said, one of these two guys do have to step up. James Harden, 11.2K. Kevin Durant, 11K. Obviously, if you take the price decrease, I do prefer Kevin Durant and GPPs. But again, they're pretty much playing at the exact same productivity this entire season. They're averaging 1.37 and 1.36 fantasy points per minute without Kyrie Irving on the court. And he's not playing tonight. So I do think you need some exposure to these guys if this game does hit the over in terms of the projected over-under. James Harden is showing 21.9% owned, so he makes more sense in terms of a cash/small GBP build. Switching over to the 76ers, really no interest in these guys whatsoever, with the exception of Tyrese Maxey. He's been playing so many minutes, 5.7K price tag. He has to average at least 1 fantasy point per minute to really make sense in terms of the upside, and he's been doing that. He did that last game, scored 35 points. 2 games ago, he scored 42. And he's just getting adapted to this offense here with Tobias Harris and also Joel Embiid. Right now, we have him projected for 34.5 points. And I actually don't mind him as a GPP option, only showing 7.1% owned. So do like him for mid-range. I do think he's going to be a good GPP play. And the rest of these guys really don't make sense at their price point. I always have some interest in Tobias Harris. However, I don't love the matchup here versus Miami. Same thing with Joel Embiid, 11.4K. He got a price increase and didn't do anything special. Like, I need Joel Embiid to go out and drop 60 to 70 points consistently to make sense there at that 11.4K price tag. And that just doesn't make sense. So right now we have him projected for 53.5 points. And I do have a lot of interest in Tyrese Maxey there in bigger GPPs. Switching over to the Miami Heat. Kyle Lowry is priced accordingly at 7.7K. Really no interest outside of bigger GPPs. But I do have some interest here in Yurt 7 because of the price decrease. He came down from a 7.2K price tag to 7K. And he's been playing consistent minutes between about 27 to 30 minutes with Dedmon back in the lineup. So don't mind him for a complete GPP flyer. He actually made my original build because he was the last piece there. But he does not have a good matchup versus Joel Embiid, and he's simply just a last piece with no ownership. And Jimmy Butler, as we predicted yesterday on stream, he did come out and play 33 minutes. He's not limited, so I do expect Butler to also not show ownership again and be a great GPP option with virtually no ownership whatsoever. And we know his history with the 76ers, so if you're in the narratives, then yeah, Jimmy Butler could make for a decent last piece in GPPs. Switching over to the Cavs, all of these price tags are very soft in my opinion. However, the matchup isn't that intriguing. It is a lower over-under here, only showing a 210 over-under. Cleveland Cavs are favored by 4 points. Evan Mobley at a $7,300 price tag does make sense when you look at it from the naked eye there. Just comparing his name with the price tag. I think he's a decent option. He's also power forward eligible, which makes a lot of sense from a lineup construction perspective. He also does draw a better matchup out of all of the Cleveland guys. Definitely don't mind him in GPPs. Right now, he's carrying a little bit of ownership, and really all these guys are because of their soft price tags. I played Darius Garland last night, and he paid off very, very well. 54.5 points. It's been very consistent in terms of the minutes, in terms of the production as of late. So Darius Garland, not the good matchup we're looking for like the Spurs were last night, but still plays a ton of minutes there. If that does hit the over in terms of the over-under, then yeah, Darius Garland could be yet another decent option. Jarrett Allen, I said his price tag just didn't look right last night, and he had a good matchup. Again, he does draw a decent matchup here. He is getting that price increase. So if you're looking at a lower-owned guy here out of these Cleveland Cavs, then Jarrett Allen would be the direction to go. 8K price tag, 6.3%. I do like him for GBPs. But if I had to pick my favorite, I'm going to be taking a stab here. Evan Mobley. I think he does fit a lot of builds there, being power forward eligible, and he does make sense there at that price tag. Switching over to the Thunder, again, the matchup isn't that intriguing, but Lou Dort has been playing a tremendous amount of minutes there at a 5.7K price tag. Yet another good GBP option. I feel like there's so many good mid-range options, especially as of late, and even more so here on the slate. He's also been shooting a lot. So shooting well, 9 for 17, 6 for 14 his past 2 games. Definitely don't mind him at lower ownership. We have him projected at 31.5 points. Definitely don't mind him for GBPs. Josh Giddey has been getting a slow pricing increase. He's also been averaging over a fantasy point per minute, and his usage has also been increasing as we've seen this season progress. At a 7.4K price tag, people are going to be off of him. Also does make sense for GBPs. I'm probably not going to land on him. However, I don't mind him for GBPs. Now, switching over to the Chicago Bulls here, we have DeMar DeRozan. Now, keep in mind, Zach LaVine did get injured last night. He is not playing tonight, so I do have a lot more interest in guys like DeMar DeRozan, the big three. Vucevic and also Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is also questionable. So if Lonzo Ball is ruled out, then I have a ton of interest in these Chicago Bulls. But as of right now, these guys are still not bad plays. DeMar DeRozan showing 20.5% owned. I actually expected him to be higher. definitely don't mind him for a last piece in cash. But one guy I want to hone in on here, Vucevic. We have him projected for 51 points. A great matchup here versus Boston Bigs. We know that Bigs struggle against Vucevic in general. This should be yet another game where Vucevic should capitalize. Last night I said Vucevic did have a fantastic matchup, and he did. And also performed well in the small amount of time that he was out there because it was a blowout. Only played 30 minutes, so if he does play this game, it should remain competitive. Boston's only favored by 6 points at home. Vucevic should be the primary scorer here for this offense outside of DeMar DeRozan. Some other guys that are showing some decent ownership, Troy Brown, if he does start, he's projected 25 minutes right now. He's not the best fantasy point per minute player, but that's strictly because he's just a shooter. If he does get pretty hot early, then he does make sense, showing 18.5% ownership. Again, the best value play on the slate by far is going to be DeAndre Hunter. I do prefer him over Troy Brown, and they do play the same position. So I think your pivot there, your low-owned pivot is going to be Troy Brown, especially if Lonzo Ball is ruled out. Ayo Dosunmu, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is also projected 31 minutes. He is just not good fantasy point per minute wise. However, I don't mind him for a value piece because he should be playing a lot, especially if Lonzo Ball is ruled out. So that's one thing to pay attention to there. Ayo is going to be carrying a lot of ownership if Lonzo Ball does get ruled out. He should start, by the way. Now, switching over to the Boston Celtics, really no interest in these guys whatsoever. We have Jason Tatum showing 15.2% owned. I really don't get that. Again, if you're picking between the Boston Celtics, they have a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys to choose from in terms of the usage, a lot of guys to shift around. Jason Tatum, 9.3. Jaylen Brown's almost at the exact same price tag. And then you're looking at Al Horford, who eats into their usage. Robert Williams, Marcus Smart is now back. He's probable for this matchup. So really no interest in these guys whatsoever outside of bigger GBPs. And really the rest of this slate's not appealing. So if we take a look here at the Clippers, again, no real interest here. All these guys are back healthy. We have Reggie Jackson, Man, Batum, Zubac, Morris. I mean, yes, there are some injuries here in this lineup, but there's really no interest here in terms of a value play. I mean, their minute upside just hasn't been there. They've been kind of going deeper into the rotation with the guys they do have. Amir Coffey's been starting a 5.4K price tag. He'd probably be my favorite because he's been playing consistent minutes there in that starting rotation, but really no interest here outside of bigger GBPs. And same thing can be said for the San Antonio Spurs. I do have interest there in Jakob Poeltl. 6.6K does draw the better matchup. Did not have a good performance last night, but I do expect him to bounce back. Did get the price increase, so I do consider him more of a GPP option. I expect him to take advantage of that matchup, and I do like him as a pivot off of some of these other obvious center options. Jakob Poeltl always in play, as long as he is starting and playing those starter minutes there. We have him projected for 37.5 points here in this matchup versus the Clippers. The rest of these guys, we don't like pops rotations ever. We don't know what the minutes are going to look like ever because they're always so inconsistent. That's just the pop San Antonio Spurs way. Now, switching over to the Los Angeles Lakers, zero interest. Like, literally zero. LeBron James, 11.9K price tag. He's been pretty consistent, just a GPP option. I don't expect him to go out and break the slate alongside Russell Westbrook. What a Russell Westbrook. What a horrible stretch of games he's been having. I mean, 2 of 14, 2 of 12, 4 of 14, 7 of 19. He hasn't shot over 50%. I guess he did here against Portland, 5 of 10, but he didn't shoot that much. So, oh boy, okay, this is just a mess. I'm not a Lakers fan, so I'm enjoying seeing this just dumpster fire of a roster. And all these guys really don't make sense as long as LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are taking all the usage. So, no interest there with the Los Angeles Lakers. And they don't even have a good matchup here versus Denver Nuggets. I do like Jokic against LeBron because LeBron has been starting at the center spot. So Jokic versus LeBron, obviously, who is the better matchup there? It's going to be Jokic. Jokic should take full advantage there. He's probably my favorite overall pay-up option on the slate if you do happen to land on him. But again, he has to go out and drop 70 plus points to really make sense to pay off that price tag. 12.6K is very, very steep. And also, Will Barton is showing a decent amount of ownership. I don't mind him for cash. 5.9K just makes sense. Compare the name with the price tag. He's been playing a decent amount of minutes here. It's just been productive. He's just an okay play. Don't love or hate him. But he is showing some ownership there because he's fitting a lot of builds. 21.1% owned. Last but not least, we do have the Orlando Magic. Really no interest in them because they do have a healthy roster coming back. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr. are still questionable, so that's something to pay attention to. Cole Anthony was a slate breaker a couple nights ago, but was a slate breaker in the wrong direction because I played them last night. And he did not have a good performance there. 28 fantasy points. And he just didn't play that much. Only 29 minutes. So it looks like Jalen Suggs did eat into his minutes. Jalen Suggs at a 4.8K price tag only played 22 minutes last game and did pay that off. So as long as he sees an increase in minutes, and if we see Jalen Suggs start, then yeah, I have a lot more interest in him at a $4,800 price tag against the Dallas Mavericks. But outside of those two guys, really no interest in this roster whatsoever. Last but not least, we do have the Dallas Mavericks without Porzingis and Cauley Stein. And as we said on DK's live stream yesterday, Porzingis being off the court really doesn't affect Luka. Luka does what he wants. He gets how many shots he wants. He is that team. He's the entire offense. So 11.1K price tag, bigger GPPs maybe, but this roster I don't have any interest in. All these guys are pretty priced accordingly. Finney Smith was showing some ownership last game, and that made sense because of his minute upside, but usually he doesn't carry that much ownership. He's showing 15% owned again. If he's actually going to be that high owned, then I have no interest in these guys really whatsoever. This over-under is only a 207.5, which is actually the lowest on the slate. So the matchup is not intriguing whatsoever for me as well. But that will wrap up my breakdown, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this breakdown. If you did, please do it with that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.